Recording in process.
Recording stop.
Oops. All right, welcome, folks. It already happened.
I missed it.
You missed it. Welcome to Chumash and Rashi, to the Torah portion, Hazinu, where we are on the fourth reading. Let's go right into the teachings of the song. Chapter 32, verse 13. We continue with the poetry. Very poetic.
32 verse 13?
19. Oh, oops. I have from yesterday. Somehow it got to yesterday. Why? I don't know. Okay. Okay. Verse 19, yes. V'yar Hashem, and Hashem saw. V'yinatz, and he provoked. He was provoked. Mikas banav, from the anger of his sons, ubenaisav, and his daughters. No Rashi on this. I guess it's self-understood. All right, verse number 20. Vayomer, and God, he will say, as a result of being angered, Astira panai, I will hide my face. Panai, panim is face, my face. Mehem, from them. Era ma acharisam, I will see what their end will be. Kidor tapuchais hema, because for they are a generation of upside down, or reversal, upside down. How does it translate here? Generation transforms, okay? Hema, bonim, they are children, amun bum, without bringing them up, with uneducated. Let's see Rashi, what this is talking about. Verse number?
Untrusted.
Here it's translating as uneducated, but it's for amuna, which means not yet untrusted, not faithful. Exactly. That would be the root of the word. But in the okay, let's see Rashi. Macharisam, what is their end? Ma talabahem, what will happen to them? B'seifam, in their end. Okay. Kidor ta'apuches hema, because they are a generation of reversals. Mahapkim ritzoini lechas, they transform my goodwill to anger. Okay. Loy emun bam, without education, upbringing in them. Ein gedule nikorim behem. So Rashi explains it. What does it mean? Right? That it doesn't mean that they're not trustworthy. It means that they're not being raised in a that it's recognizable, and then that they were raised properly.
Emun means upbringing.
In the context, it means over here, but it comes from the word emuna, faith, trustworthy. Like they're not trustworthy, but in the context, it means over here that it's not recognizable in them that they were raised. Why? For I have taught them a good way, and they turned away from it. Remember this continuation from yesterday, that we will have the fat of the land, we will have all the wealth and everything, and then we will, as we say over here, turn away. Amun. So he brings now, what does this mean? Lashon vehi oimen. It relates to the word that he had reared, and it's speaking about speaking the Megillus Esther, that Mordechai had raised Hadassah, Esther. In an old French, notur. Davar acher, alternative explanation what this means. Emun lashon emuna, that the word emun means faith. Ketargumai, as Onkelos translates it, Amra besin. B'Sinai na'aseh v'nish, right? At Sinai, we said that we will do, and then we will listen. U'lasha'ah kala, and for a short time, bitlu haftachasam, they broke their promise, v'asu egel, and they made the calf. So I'm not clear exactly how he gets from here. Meaning that they didn't have faith. Okay, but I don't know how it gets it from the. Okay, because the word that's the usual meaning of the word. Why that's not the simple.
Exactly how we get from here.
And why Rashi didn't give the second explanation first, I'm not certain. Because the word again, the translation of the word means faith. So that they didn't have faith kind of makes sense, right? But that's the second explanation, not the first one. Okay, verse 21. Haim kinuni, they made me upset, infuriated me, or how does it translate over here? Jealous. Okay. Veloy kel ka'asuni bahavlehem. With an on God, they made me upset. They angered me, kisuni, they angered me, bahablehem, with their vanities. Vani akni aim, beloy am, and I will infuriate them. I will infuriate them with a beloy am, with a non-people. Begoy novel v'achi esim. With a vile nation shall I anger them. Let's see Rashi what this means. So kinuni Viru chamasi, they made my anger burn. Beloy kale, something that's not a god. Beloy am, with a non-people, she'en la shem, a nation that has no name. And it's not a great nation. It's like a no-name nation, right? Haim eretz kasdim, that they're the land of the kasdim. Ze'am loy haya, the nation was not. Of Esav, it says, that you are very wretched. In other words, nations that are not deserved to be anything are going to, come against you, right? Because you have angered me. They will come against you.
No, when?
He didn't say what will happen.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
He just said, let's see further. Maybe it will say. Begoy navabachi esem, a vile nation that shall I anger them. Elo haminim, these are the heretics. And similarly it says, Amanava belibai ein elikim. And the vile one says in his heart that there's no God.
Perhaps said you're atheist.
That's what it is.
Mhm.
Well, heretic, atheist is saying. As a nation that says there's no God, they're the ones who you'll be punished through them. That's the idea. Okay. Ki eish, for a fire, kadcha rather. Kadcha be'api is burning in my nostrils. Etikad ad shaol, and it was.
I'm lost here. Are we in 22?
We're in 22. Yeah.
Where's the nostril?
Ki eish, a fire, kadcha is burning the api in my nostrils, in my nose, right? That af is a nose. Betikad ad shaol tachtis, and blazed in the lowest of depths. Tachtis is the lowest of depths. Shaol, the lowest. V'teichal eretz, and it will consume the land, the yevula and its produce. V'telahed, and will set afire moistei harim, the foundation of the mountains.
Wow, so different.
Let's see what this means. 22. Kadcha ba'ar, burned. Tikad, ablazed. Bachem, in you. Ad yisoid, to the foundation, meaning to the very bottom. There'll be a fire that will be to the very bottom, will burn.
Foundation.
V'teichal eretz yevula, and it will consume a land and its produce. Artzachem v'yevula means your land, land of Israel, and its produce. It's going to consume. Right? It's a lahet, and it was set afire, Yushalayim. That refers to Jerusalem. That will be set afire. Hamayus edis ala harim. How do we know that? Because it's founded on the mountain. Shenemar Yishalayim harim saviv la. That Jerusalem has mountains around it. Right? Because the verse says that there's going to be a fire at the foundation of the mountain. So Jerusalem's on a mountain. That's what it makes is the reference in this verse. Oh, you see, already Torah is going to tells us about the destruction that will happen, right?
Temple, right?
Yeah. Asfa aleinu ra'os, I will add, accumulate alemai against them ra'os evils. Hitzai, my arrows, achalabam will consume them, destroy them, consume them. Same idea. Okay. 23.
Them is
Asaf.
the Jewish people, of course.
Yeah. Asfe alema rois, I shall accumulate to add evils against them. Achbir ro'a al ra, I will join evil onto evil. La shin tzvu shana shel al shana. As related, the word tzvu means to accumulate year after year. Tzvais harava, adding the drunk. Just showing that the word asfa means to add. Or they say yehem tzvu al zivchechem. Join your oila with your peace offering, right? That's the first explanation. It means to accumulate, to add. Davar acher, an alternative explanation of what this word means, asve, is Rashi says, asve achalem. The word asve means I will expend. Tisofet, lest you will obliterate, expend. In other words, like destroy. So first one means add, and the second explanation means Asra alei said I will destroy upon you through evils, obliterate you through evils. Chitzai achalabam, my arrows will go up against them, meaning right to destroy. Kol chitzai, all of my arrows ashlim bahem, I will finish off against them. Uklola zu in this curse, Lafia Parania is in contrast with the punishments mentioned here, the brachahi is a blessing. Why? It implies a blessing. The schitzai kolim, because my arrows shall be used up, the haim enim kolim, but the Israelites, the Jewish people, will not be annihilated. As So Rashi is saying Hitzai achale, so it means all of my arrows,
Yeah.
right? All of my arrows will be consumed, they'll be used up. They'll be used up, but not the Jewish people will be used up. They won't be annihilated. They won't be used up. Is that clear?
Who is he referring to? Like who is going to be getting the arrows?
No, it doesn't mean that the Jews won't get the arrows, but it won't destroy them. It won't annihilate them. They'll still be here. Usually when you conquer another nation, you've annihilated that nation, right? They become under your jurisdiction. They lose whatever status, whether they become slaves or they become whatever. Over time, they're no longer a nation, right? That's what happens throughout history. But here, yes, there will be destruction, but not destruction in a way that you'll be annihilated, that you won't be left.
According to what you said, then they're not a nation. So here is saying that they will be a nation.
No, they will still be. Well, we see that when they destroyed the second Beis Hamikdash, first Beis Hamikdash, Jewish people went to Babylon. They were still a nation. There's still Jews left. Some Jews left in Israel. We were still a nation. We didn't have sovereignty as a nation, but we're still a people. All right, we're still a people. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting explanation. The second one, it's not so not the obvious explanation, right? That's why it's maybe only the second one,
Gotcha.
right?
That's good.
I also don't know the translation of it is not so obvious that it would be that. Okay, verse 24.
Then you're agreed.
Mazerov, bloating by the famine, lechume reshif, and fought against by those that fly, the ketev meriri, and the felling of meriri, the shane behemas, and the teeth of animals, a shalach bam, I shall send against them. Im Hamas zeichle afar. Hamas is here. Look at that.
Who's Mariri?
Anger.
With the venom of those that slither on the dust. Zeichle is slither afar on the dust.
Who's Mariri?
Let's see what Rashi has to say.
Creepy crawlers.
Slither on the dust sounds like creepy
Snakes,
colors.
all that.
Yeah, that's what creepy. Yeah. Slither is it means that. Hey, Rashi 24. We're at verse 24. Yeah, we're good, folks.
Yes.
Is he here? Alan, well, you can share. So share there. Share. Okay, 24 Rashi. Mazerov, bloated by famine. Unkelis Tirgim. Unkelis translates it. Nefiche kafan, bloated by famine. Right, that's the translation. Ainli aid meichia chalav. I have no evidence proving that. Right, that's what it means. Mishmoi shel Rebbe Yehuda Hadashem Toulouse. That's Toulouse, Toulouse. In the name of Rabbi Yehuda Hadashem from Toulouse. Shamaiti, I heard. The Mazerav means Se'ire Rav, hairy by famine. Adam kochash, like a skinny person. Migadol ser al v'sar, he grows hair, much hair on his flesh. Maze can be meaning hairy. Lashon arami ser mazia. It's an Aramaic expression of hair. The hava mahapir b'mazia, as we see the twirling of his hair. Okay, from the top. Okay, next. Ulechume reshiv, fought against those that fly. What does that mean? Ashedim nilchamu by him. The demons did battle with them. Shenamar says, "Bnei reshiv yagbiru uf," that they fly. Those that fly soared high. Behem shedim, and these are demons. So these are demons we're talking about over here, right? They're going to battle against the ketev meriri. And the felling of Meriri, what does that mean? Krisus shade. This is a cutting down of the demon Shishmai Meriri. His name is Meriri. I don't know what it means that he's being cut down. Ketif, felling is that Krisa means cutting down. Kemoi, Tovcha Sho'o. That means I will cut you off to the netherworld. Others just give me an example that it means cut off. Okay. B'shem behemoths, in the teeth of the animals, Maisa Haya, there's once an incident, Haya Rechelim Neishchim, that the sheep would bite, or Memitzim, and cause death through their bite. Interesting. So the word behema means a domesticated animal, right? Which domesticated animals do not bite. Only chayos, beasts, bite. So the verse says, behemoths, saying that even domesticated animals here bit them, right? Which is not their natural tendency. Okay.
And,
Hamas zeichli afar, venom of those who slither on the dust. Eris nechashim, the venom of snakes. Hamahalchim al gechainam, that they move on their belly. Al afar, on the ground. Kama hazeichlim al ares, like kemayim hazeichlim al ares, like water which flows along the earth. Zechile lashem erutzes hamayim. The word zechila means the movement of water. Al afar, on the ground. And similarly, by extension, kol merutzas davar, the word zeichli means the movement of a thing. Hamishashvish al ha'afar v'ohela, which rubs against the ground as it goes along. Okay. 25. Michutz, from the outside, tishakil cherev, the sword will bereave, the mechadarim, and from the chambers, ema, there will be dread. Gam bachur, also a young man, gam besula, and a virgin, yoinik im ish seva, a suckling with a gray-haired man.
so different in my translation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so different.
Well, because it's probably giving the Rashi in it. That's why I'm giving you the translation of the words. Right? It's giving there the Rashi.
Outside their cities, the sword of our enemy will destroy them.
Right, but that's not what the words are saying. If you can see, some of them are bold and some of them are not, right? So the non-bold is the explanation of Rashi. So when you're doing that, you're not learning the verse in it, you know, and then you're already learning the Rashi before we learn the Rashi, which is fine, but you're not learning the words in Hebrew.
Thank you.
And you're not going to learn how to read something and understand what the words are meaning. Yeah, I'm following?
Yes.
I never knew that. Thank you.
Okay, michutz, from outside. Tishakil, you will bereave cherev with a sword. What does that mean? Michutz la'ir, outside of the city. Tishakil cherev gayasas, the sword of invading armies will bereave them.
Breathing mother. As he says in the place, look to him as Shakela.
Right.
This is the opposite.
Yeah. Okay, next Rashi, v'chadari meima, and in the chambers there's dread. Kishebayreach v'nimlat min acherev. So when he runs away and escapes from the sword, chadre libain nekufim olav, the chambers of his heart palpitate. Machmasema, because of the dread. Who mays v'hilachba, and he gradually dies because of it. Others, the trauma. Wow, this is PS and TD, right? This is the original place of it. Do you want to give back the Chumash over there? Pass it, okay?
Back?
Yeah. Yeah. Huh? It's okay. They'll share. They'll share. It's okay. Yeah, just leave it there. Yeah, share. Right. So this is a PTSD, right? Of
It's fine. You're okay, but then you don't have.
that the trauma of it is going to kill you, right? Davar acher. Alternatively, the chadare meima, from the chamber's dread, but bias in the house, there'll be the dread of pestilence. As it says, ki olam mavis b'cholaneinenu, that the death is written up to our windows, meaning through a pestilence. And that's the way Onkelos explains it, that it's a pestilence, right? Some kind of disease, right? Now a third explanation he's giving, davar acher, a third explanation. Michutz l'shakel cherev, means Amasha also because of that which they did bachutzos in the marketplaces. Shenemar mizbah chutzos Yerushalayim, like the number of marketplaces in Jerusalem. Sometimes mizbachos lebaishes you did. So did you place altars for shame, for Baal? And from the chambers dread, which means that dread will come. Amasha also because of that which they did. In the innermost chambers. In other words, you did things in the innermost chambers that were dreadful, and this is the third meaning. Shenemar asher zikni beis Yisrael oisim b'cheshev, that which the elders of the house of Israel do in darkness, meaning discreetly. In other words, doing things that are inappropriate discreetly. Ish bechadre mas kisei, each man in his tiled chamber. Okay. 26.
I love that.
Okay, Amarti, I said, right? God is saying, I said, Afa Ahem, Afa Ahem Ba'ashbisa Me'enosh. I will, God says, I will scatter them, Ba'ashbisa, and I will cause them, Ba'ashbisa, and I will, that they're Me'enosh Zichram, from a man memory. In other words, I will cause that they will be forgotten in memory. By the way, remind me, I'll have time, I'll tell you the story that's based on this verse from Nachmanides that I mentioned a couple days ago. Mentioned a couple times already. It's on this verse over here. Yeah, it's on this verse. Yeah. Okay. Rashi. Yeah, 26 in Rashi. Amarti afa ehem, I said that I will scatter them. Amarti, believe me, I said in my heart, afa ehem, I will scatter them. Yesh lefarish afa ehem, and it's possible to explain afa ehem as meaning as a shisem peya. I will make them peya. Lashlicha me'al hefker, by casting them off from me to be ownerless. Just like the corner of peya is the corners of the field that you leave ownerless for the poor, right? So I'm going to make you also, so to speak, ownerless. I own you. You're going to act this way. Then you're going to become ownerless, right? That's what it means. Tugmasa matzina be'ezra. We find this similar use in Ezra. V'titin lahem mamlochas ha'amamim. And he gave them the kingdoms and peoples, but and you made a pay a portion of them, lehefker, to be ownerless. And this is how Menachem also explains it. But there are those who interpret these words of Vayheim as Unkelis does. Yachol rugze alehon. My anger will take effect upon them. But this is not possible to explain it this way. Shem Kain, if that's so, that it should have been written with a double aleph in the front of the word, achas l'shimish, one that would be for the conjugation of the verb, and one would be for the root. As I gird you. So now he's going through some dictu, right? That I would strengthen you. I would strengthen you with my mouth. He's just giving different examples of where you put a double aleph in front of a word when you want to make it that aleph in front of a word is, when it's not part of the root, means I, right? And furthermore, to indicate that it's a conjugation of the verb, or no, it's also one is part of the root, and one is part is to make it into a verb that I am doing something, right? An action of doing something.
Wow.
So he's giving different examples of Aleph atichayna and the afehem of the word af, anger, the aleph in the middle. In a by klal, it's not fitting to be there at all. Unkelis tirgum, and unkelis translates as lashon asher ha'abraisa, the term from the Braisa, Ashnuya b'Sifri, as is taught in the Medrash Sifri, Achelekas Tevazu, that divides the word L'sholish Tevas, that it's three words. Amarti, I said, what did I say? Af, a, hem. In anger, where are they? A, hem. A is where? Hem, them. Where are they? Amarti, the af in my anger, etnem. Ki ilo enam, I will consider them as they're non-existent. Sheyemeru ahem alehem, as those who see them will say of them, ayehem, where are they? In other words, like they will not be there because of my anger. They they won't be. Okay. Okay. 27. 27. Lule kas, if it were not for the anger, oyev ogur, of the enemy, that was ogur, pent up, pen yinachru tsaremai, lest the tormentors misinterpret. Pen yoimru, lest they say, Yadenu Rama, our hands are uplifted, like are great. Veloy Hashem Paul calls us, and Hashem didn't do this. Unless these enemies, right, are going to say, oh, it's our success, not that God was upset with the Jews. Right? In other words, it's not your success. God is upset with the Jews, and therefore that He's allowing you to wreak havoc, to have the yeah. Rashi in 27. Lule kasa yevagar, were it not for the anger of the enemy was pent up, if it was not the anger of the enemy, was stored up against you, to destroy them, and if the enemy would overcome them, and destroy them, they would attribute their greatness to themselves, to their gods, but they wouldn't attribute anything towards me. And that's what it means. That's what it means, right? That they will Yinakru Tzarema, that the tormentors misinterpret Yinakru Davar, that they misinterpret the matter. Litlois Gvorasi, right? No. Yeah, that they're gonna put their attribute it to their might rather than my might. Because they will say that our hands ascend, meaning that we are the ones who accomplish this. Because this nation is bereft of counsel, they have no understanding. Because if they were wise, it would understand how one could pursue others. It can't be you that's doing this, the nations, because you're gonna have one of you chase 1,000 Jews. It's obviously not you; it's God, right? Because God's upset with the Jews, so that's why this is happening. That's what the verse is saying. Don't think it's your. Wow. 28, last verse. Oops, 1 second. So the verse says, Ki goy oived eitzes, for a nation is bereft of counsel, hema them, and they have no Aha, so okay, Rashi, what we just explained is, continuing in this verse over here, that they have no understanding. Rashi, ki oisei goy oivet eitzos vehema be'ein behem tvuna, for if they were wise people and they would have understanding, shelos chachami yaskilu zois ve'ena yeah, then they would understand how one can pursue 1,000 and be successful, which is the next verse, or in 2 verses from now, which will be tomorrow, but not today. Wow.
That's what happened in the second temple. The democratic.
To go,
Yeah,
the subways are not working and, time to meet.
וזה מעטים מול רבים.
Huh?
וזה מעטים מול רבים. Where it says there that.
Yeah, but this is the opposite.
No. It says, because that's really what happened, and they're not saying that's Hashem doing it.
No, but this is when the non-Jews are coming after us, one against 1,000 Jews, and they think it's their strength rather than that it's God's, what God is doing to the Jewish people. That's what the verse is saying, not what we are victorious. But this is not about when we're victorious. This is when we're being defeated. No, that's not what the verse. No, that's what the verse is saying. The verse is clear. When we're being defeated, the nations are going to think it's their power that did it. It's not their power. That's what the verses are saying. Oh, what a way to start Yom Kippur, huh? I think we need some Tanya. For sure.
Do you want to share a bit on that Maimonides now? Or?
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you for reminding. Thank you. I forgot. Thank you. So there's a story. Nachmanides passed away. Maybe it was 1204 or something like that. He had the famous debate. He lived in Spain and he was forced to have a public debate with an apostate, a Jewish apostate in Spain, in like 1196 or something like that. And he was forced to have a public debate. He didn't want to have it, but he slaughtered him in the debate, right? And the Rambam, the Ramban, Nachmanides, yes.
And he had to leave because he thought he was going to be persecuted.
So then he left and went to Eretz Yisrael. But this is a story that happened earlier.
The Ramban
Slaughter in the debate, not figurative. Here I'll tell you about a slaughter.
The Jewish slaughter.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you a different story. There was a student of his who also became an apostate. It's a different. I don't think it's a
Ramban.
the Ramban. This is served the Ramban. Yeah.
Nachmanides.
Right.
But Ramban was from France, wasn't it?
No.
No.
Spain. Yeah. So he had a student and he rose in ranks in the church and he came on Yom Kippur to the Ramban and he with a pig and slaughtered it in front of him, roasted it or whatever. And he asked the Ramban, how many sins did I commit? So I think the Ramban said 4, and he said, nope, 5. And there was a 5th, if I recall correctly that day. I don't know if I recall that detail correctly. So the Ramban says to him, I understand, what happened to you? Why did you go off the path? What is it that led you to go off the path? So he said, well, you were my teacher. And then one day you said something that was totally ludicrous. You said, Parsha Zazinu, what we're learning over here, this Parsha. In this Parsha, everything of history is mentioned here. Everything. You can find everything in history over here. That's crazy. How's it possible? You can find everything in history over here, right? People, events, everything is here in history. He says that's crazy. That's not true. So he says no, it is true. It is absolutely true. He told them, absolutely true. He says, if so, then where am I in the parsha? Where am I? He went into the corner for a few minutes in a meditative state. Hold on. And he said, verse 26, go to verse 26 today. Verse 26, you see it? Every third letter of the verse, starting with Amarti, Reish, okay? You see that? The third letter is a Reish in the word Amarti? Yeah? Afehim, the third letter is an Aleph. Third letter in Ashbisa is a base. Third letter in Enosh is a Nun. And the third letter of Zichram is a Reish. Every third letter, it spells your name, Avner, there. Your name is there. I'll get to a clincher over here. There's for the episode, and the Reish and the first letter is Reb Avner. We'll get to that. So he was like, oh gosh, his name is literally there, hinted to in the parsha. He immediately does tshuva on the spot. He says, okay, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. He says, what am I supposed to do now? Well, the verse is your answer. I will scatter them and cause their memory to cease from man. You have to escape, leave here, go to a place where no one knows you, live a Jewish life, and you will not be remembered after this. That's your tshuva. And so we did. He went off, sailed off somewhere, and we have no idea whatever happened to him. Led a Jewish life, and so on. That was his tshuva that Ramban told him. So Rebbe, it's a famous story, and the Rebbe, by Fabringen, at least once, if not more, spoke about it, and he said, look what the verse said. It's the whole verse, right? Third letter and every says it starts with a Reish, Reb Avner. Torah even speaks about him doing tshuva, calls him Reb. Reb is a name of prominence, right? The name of prominence you give to a person, right? Not Avner, Reb Avner. Torah even knows that he's going to do tshuva in the end, and that's how he's remembered in the Torah. Is that unbelievable? What a story. Story of Yom Kippur. It's a story of Yom Kippur, Parshas Azinu. Today's verse. Today's verse.
What derailed him was he thought it wasn't true. He went on.
And he went on, yeah, it says, how's it possible? His name is right there.
So it means no matter how far you've gone, even somebody like him, you can come
And do
back.
tshuva, of course.
You can come
Now,
back.
doing tshuva doesn't mean that you have an easy way, right? It can be to do tshuva, because the things that he did against the Jewish people, right, in his position were terrible things. And but tshuva is tshuva. Tshuva means about cleansing you. That doesn't mean there isn't repercussions from the things you did. We have to understand repercussions of things that you do and tshuva are separate things. But so he had to go through going into exile in a place where no one would know him.
But you had a great teacher. You didn't trust this teacher.
Yeah.
You could have asked.
This is before there was a concept of a Rebbe, right? But Baal Shem Tov came a concept of a Rebbe that you are given over to your Rebbe, right? That was something that's with the Hasidic movement of you have trust and faith in your Rebbe, and so on. So should there have been then? Yes, but the connection wasn't the same. It wasn't the same kind of thing. It was teacher-student more than Rebbe Chassid. As we had it in the Hayom Yom, if you remember, so about I don't know, 6 weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago, Hayom Yom that said before there used to be a teacher and a student, a head of a yeshiva and a student, and the teacher was alone and the student was alone. Then there's a Rebbe Chassid. A Chassid is not alone, and the Rebbe is not alone. Otherwise, the reason why is the reason you do something wrong? You think you're alone. God's not with you. You think you're alone. You're not with another. You're not with your teacher. You're not connected. When you feel that disconnection, even though you might be very knowledgeable and great student, but you have a sense of being alone. Being alone is the beginning of all your faltering. We're never alone. So actually, in the schools of Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz of blessed memory, his wife just passed away, and is my son Yosef is married to the niece of Mrs. Steinsaltz, who just passed away, Azimov from France, Azimov, the famous Azimov family. In any case, so why did I bring up? Oh, because once the Rebbe, by dollars, Rabbi Din Steinsaltz passed by dollars by the Rebbe, and the Rebbe asked him if he's here with his wife, and he said, I came alone. Rebbe, like in a starter, alone. A Yid is kemel nicht allein. A Jew is never alone. You're never alone. A Jew is never alone. I think he said something like, the Avish is alamol. God is always with you, right? You're never alone. So, yeah.